Welcome to Good Follow, presented by DraftKings. I'm Ros Logan, and that's my co-host, that's my girl, that's Logan Hackett. What's up, Logan? How you doing?
I'm actually doing really well. I feel refreshed now that March Madness is over, like the chaos, but in a sense, I also really miss it. And I just want to keep on like bing, bop, boom, back to back to back. But you were there and I want to know all about it. How was it?
Ooh, you flourish in the madness, huh?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I was in Tampa, girl. It was so beautiful out there. I love warm weather, so the weather was amazing. It was the hot spot for women's basketball. Like everyone was there. This was a place to see and be seen, to be networking. WNBA players, coaches, executives, media members. Like it was all there in one place. It was, really exciting within the women's basketball community. I was there doing the national radio game broadcast for the games at the Final Four. So I had a lot of like really cool opportunities to spend a lot of one-on-one time with the teams and the coaches and the players. I got to really, see in the minds of Geno and Dawn and what gets them going and how they're strategizing. Spent a lot of time with Uconn and South Carolina, obviously, and then with the players, just getting to know, the personality of these teams and getting to know the players. So for me, like I really cherished the opportunity in Tampa and to interview, to talk with all of them,
There was actually one, I think it was a South Carolina game. At halftime, Dawn was walking to the locker room and you're on the feed running after her with your little notepad. I was like, oh my God, that's Ros.
First of all, I'm mad old school. I still use my notepad. And then like I kind of have to time it up. It's almost like double dutch. Like I'm watching her walking off the court and I know I got to speak to her coming off the court and then the other coach coming out onto the court. So I'm like, 1, 2, there she goes. Dawn, what's your message to the team? But it was really cool. But beyond that, we're also celebrating today, Logan.
Yay!
We're celebrating. We hit 1,000 subscribers. Actually, it's such a big deal for us. It's not just one bell. It's 2 bells.
Oh my gosh.
It's 3 bells. We are so grateful. We are so excited to reach 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, that is. We relaunched this at the start of the new year. We've been doing this, building this with y'all for 3 months to hit 1,000. It means a lot. And we pledge to continue to bring great energy and enthusiasm and creativity to how we cover women's sports for y'all. Okay? That's our promise.
And as always, y'all, we thank you so much for subscribing, commenting, liking, and following our socials. Please, if you haven't yet, don't forget to do so. And new episodes drop every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern.
All right. The road to 2,000 subscribers begins.
Let's
Tell your
get
friends.
it.
All right, let's get to the show. In today's show, we've got a great one for you. We're talking about what the future looks like for newly crowned Uconn, the new champions of college basketball after they won their 12th championship. We're going to be looking to the future for South Carolina and other contenders coming up for next college season. Then we're going to take a look at the WNBA draft, which is around the corner. We're going to reveal our top 5 WNBA draft picks and maybe some surprises that we'll try to predict. We also have an exclusive interview with ESPN analyst and host LaChina Robinson. It was taped in Tampa immediately after the national championship game. So it's very much giving all of the insider info, vibes, stories, tea from the scene at the Final Four. We've got a full show, Logan, so let's get to it.
Let's get to it. Raj, you mentioned that a new champion has been crowned. And yes, UConn took on the title. And it was a bit of a shock for how they absolutely dismantled South Carolina 82-59. And we saw the trio lead the way once again, Paige Bueckers, Azzi Fudd, and Sarah Strong. But I don't know if anyone else feels the same way. I was super surprised by their dominance in this tournament. And I think it comes from them playing in the Big East because leading up to March Madness, you're able to see where teams are failing or where teams are excelling. And take a conference like the SEC or the ACC, you're able to kind of see how dominant a team is going into the tournament. But with UConn being in the Big East, I mean, they've won 23 Big East titles. There's not much there. So, oh my gosh, I'm still taken aback by it. And I don't have much more to say. But another thing that I found really interesting is that their average margin of victory was 36.8 points, and Paige was averaging 24.8. So if you just put that on paper 1-to-1, is Paige leaving really that big of a deal? And it begs the question, is this the start of another dominant era for UConn?
You know, I actually think it could be the continuance of dominance coming out of this championship for UConn. And they may not feel the loss of Paige Bueckers, who was an incredible talent, but I still think UConn can be great even after now she graduates. Because when fully healthy, UConn was head and shoulders better than the competition. They gassed UCLA and South Carolina. And so for me, the point that I make doesn't even need stats to be proven. It's more about qualities and characteristics and culture of the program. I'll point to the pace of play that UConn plays with. I'll point to the execution of cuts, of passes in their offense, the backdoor passes, the beauty of it against tough defenses. And then on the other side, UConn's not just an offensive team, they were tough on defense and they were able to create offense off of that defense. This is a team that's incredibly unselfish, sacrificing roles for one another. And one thing that really stands out about UConn over the course of decades is their conditioning level. They have a fitness X factor. And even when I was playing at Stanford against UConn teams of old, they always were so well conditioned that over the course of the game, they would just wear on you. And then suddenly they'd be pulling away because fatigue set in. It's harder and harder to execute. So for these qualities, I'm less worried about Paige Bueckers graduating. As great as she is, Geno's a brilliant coach. The offense will further just kind of focus in on working around Sarah Strong, who, Logan, Sarah Strong, as a freshman, had a great case for the most outstanding player of the Final Four, and easily could have won that if it didn't go to Azzi Fudd, who was also great, who next season will now have a second year of being healthy. That's just like another step forward physically and mentally for what she'll be able to do on the court. And then all those role players will be looking for expanded roles. Your KK Arnolds, your Ashlyn Shades, your Ice Brady's, your Janas, and the transfer portal might get a win or two for UConn. So I expect them to be very strong next season as long as they're able to stay healthy.
Okay, let's dive into South Carolina a bit more. They're losing Ta'Niya Bree Hall and Ta'Niya Fagan, but breaking news, Ta'Niya Latson just announced that she is transferring in. With that, Raven Johnson tweeted, "Let's run it back." And there was another one with hashtag reunited. So it's likely that she is also returning. Now, Ta'Niya led the nation in scoring last season with 25.2 points per game. But Ros, what does she add to the team?
Aw, Dawn! Dawn had a wrinkle up her sleeve. A birdie flew into the nest for South Carolina Gamecocks. This is a game changer. This is huge. Ta'Niya Latson coming to South Carolina. You mentioned her 25 points per game. It's also about 4.5 rebounds, 4.5 assists per game. But more importantly, here is a player who was able to create her own shot off of the bounce to the rim for the pull-up jumper against tough defenses in tight, tough situations. South Carolina now has a go-to scorer that is veteran that they can lean on and go to. And for the most part, they were offense by committee, everybody chipping in. Each game in the tournament, it was like someone else would step up. Well, this is a go-to scorer. South Carolina needed this influx of offense. It will absolutely help their identity of being a tough defense. This is a game changer for South Carolina.
I think especially with Pau leaving, it adds someone who could hit those clutch shots in those moments and even shoot from three. But they also have Mylasia Fulwiley and Joyce Edwards returning. And throughout the season, into the tournament and in the championship game, we did see moments of them being a liability. Some of their decision making wasn't too good. You could kind of see their immaturity. But I honestly think that this is the biggest and best lesson that you can have in your career, taking a loss that bad to UConn. And Joyce post game even said, "I don't like how I'm feeling. I've never felt this way before, and I never want to feel it again." So how can the both of them develop in the offseason to lead the team next year?
I was really impressed with Joyce Edwards, as a freshman stepping up so big in the Final Four, especially she was kind of having a slump for a couple of games there. So to find what it took to fight her way out of it, I had the chance to get to know her and speak with her during the Final Four during my reporting. And this was a player who had the mental toughness, who was, working with coaching staff, willing to put the work in to break through. And she did. She's got size, she's got mobility, she's got the ability to attack the rim. I expect her to further build on this experience next season. Mylasia Fulwiley, She is also somebody who can score the ball. She is also a bucket. And next season, she's going to likely step into a new role. This season she was off the bench, someone who came in and immediately changed the game with her pace and style of play. There's a good chance she's likely to be a starter next season. And so there's a difference there. When you're coming off the bench, you have more freedom to be wild, maybe in some ways. But as a starter, often coaches want to see you be a bit more deliberate because you've got to set the style of play for your team. You've got to engage your teammates. You've got to run sets. So that'll be a healthy challenge for her next season. To your point, they're going to miss Ta'Niya Latson, not only for her leadership, but her three-point shooting. Her three-point shots were like daggers for South Carolina. So even with Ta'Niya Latson coming in, I wonder, like, where does spacing continue to come from for South Carolina? Ashlyn Watson, how does she come back from injury? If she's able to be fully healthy and her full self, that's huge for South Carolina. And it was a huge loss not having her. Obviously, Chloe Kitts, I thought she finished the season really strong for South Carolina, continue to build on that. But here's like this overarching storyline that the Gamecocks get to have coming into next season. Pain is a great teacher, and so is embarrassment. And that's what they felt. They felt that against Uconn. And now that can be bundled up and used as fuel in this offseason and perhaps a chip going into next year.
I think Ta'Niya could have put the cherry on top to them winning the championship. It was like the key piece that they were missing.
Yeah, woulda, shoulda, coulda. Who knows now? They have next year to show it.
With that, UConn and South Carolina aren't the only teams who have championship capability next year. I mean, USC, UCLA, and Texas are still looking good. And then UCLA and Texas are returning their own stars. Still staying in Texas, TCU just picked up Olivia Miles, Clara Silva from Kentucky, and will potentially add more to their roster. So I want to do a way too early prediction. Which teams do you think could give UConn and South Carolina a run for their money next season?
Well, I'm going to point out UCLA. First of all, I think experience really showed itself in the Final Four, and that experience mattered. Like, UCLA now has seen what it takes. They've seen the different level, what the Final Four looks like, what the conditioning level looks like to be at that level. I think for Lauren Betts and Kiki Rice, they come back even more improved. They're going to anchor this team. Sienna Betts, little sis to Lauren, she's going to join. Influx of height, influx of talent. She was the MVP of the McDonald's All-American game. And not to mention, they bring back a lot of talent that played key roles in their run. Your Gardners, your Jaquez, they all come back. And so I think with that experience, I think UCLA will be a really big team to watch. Any team that Olivia Miles was going to go to was going to suddenly become a contender, right? If they weren't already. So TCU, you're back, baby. You got Olivia Miles. And I think, for her, she might have looked at how well things went for Haley Van Lith there. And Mark Campbell, the coach, has built a reputation now of developing great point guards. When he was at Oregon with Kelly Graves, he was instrumental in developing Sabrina Ionescu. So for Olivia Miles, that might end up being a nice fit there. And Mark Campbell and TCU also brought in size with the Kentucky transfer, Clara Silver. She's 6'7", and that can help fill the gap also that's being left with Sedona Prince leaving the program. So I think TCU you can keep an eye on. And shout out to Duke, okay? And Kara Lawson, who were great to finish the season. Maybe some people might have caught some people, by surprise. They had an incredible run. They bring back most all of the team, and they get to double down on that. So keep an eye out for Duke. What about you, Logan?
I would absolutely love to see Duke generate more offense. I mean, we saw that they could hold it down on defense. They had such low scoring games, though. And Toby Fournier is going to be a key piece to this team. And so I'm really excited to see what they do. But real quick, before we go to break, Paige heading to the draft means that the 2020 recruiting class has officially all left. And this is crazy. Everyone except for Caitlin has a ring, but Camila Cardoso did win too. So technically there's 5 in total over here. Do you think this will go down as the best recruiting class in history?
This is a highly impactful recruiting class. They're obviously very talented, but I also think about what they're going to be for off the court. They come during a time where there's unprecedented attention on women's basketball and the way we're covering it, the way we're investing in it, the way players are handling it. And so I think if you remember back when there was the 3 to see with like Elena Delle Donne, Skylar Diggins-Smith, Brittany Griner, like they're going to have similar impact, if not more, in how they shape the future of women's basketball. And even on the court, this is generational rebounders, passers, scorers, shot blockers. I just wonder who's going to win a championship first of this group on the WNBA side. And then, from there, we'll be counting their greatness based off of championships, gold medals. But, the future will only show.
That's a great question. I wonder who will be the first, and if maybe it'll go in the same order somehow. But y'all, coming up, Ros sits down with LaChina Robinson, so we'll be right back.
What's up, good follow? This is Ros coming to you live from Tampa. The women's tournament just wrapped up. Uconn was crowned champion. And right now it is a glorious day in Tampa. I'm sitting by the water right now and, the sun is starting to set and I'm about to sit down with a great guest. She is a WNBA host and analyst for ESPN. She is the founder of Rising Media Stars Mentorship Group. She's my big sis. She's my friend. It's LaChina Robinson. We're going to sit down and enjoy just some food, catch up, and talk some hoops. LaChina is here. Hey, sis.
Hey, Ros.
Thank you for pulling up and joining me here.
Anything for you. It's so good to see you.
It's great to see you. You look fabulous.
Thank you. You too. Always suited and booted. So nice.
It's nice that we have a moment to relax now that the college season is over. And I mean, how amazing has Tampa been? It's been such beautiful wet weather.
It's one of my favorites. I don't want to age myself, but this is my 23rd straight Final Four.
What?
Yes.
That's a congratulations.
I don't know.
Wait.
It means I'm old.
Because Geno is in his, straight, because he had his 24th Final Four.
Yes.
But you didn't see 23 of those, or was it straight? You've seen a whole lot of Geno.
I've seen 23 straight. Yeah, I have, actually. That means I've seen Tampa a number of times as a Final Four venue or site. And I actually was reminiscing with Candace Parker in the lobby of the hotel where Tennessee won in 2008.
Yeah.
Over Stanford.
I was there.
That was the Candace Wiggins era.
Yes. I remember the game, the championship game. It was my freshman year.
Oh, yes.
Yes, I was at the Tampa Final Four here, and it was good for Candace Parker to get that championship.
Oh, man. And I was asking her, I was like, do you remember? Because she said, I don't remember anything about the city, but I remember everything about the game itself. And I was like, really? She said, no, I don't remember what hotel we stayed at, anything. Like, nothing feels familiar to me. But I said, so you remember everything in the Stanford game? She was like, more so the LSU game, because the Stanford game wasn't that close. So I was like, oh, y'all in control the whole time?
Candace always has jokes. I'm going to have to get her for that one. But you want to see the difference? You want to see the difference of maybe like the type of player we were?
Right.
I actually don't remember anything about the game against Tennessee. But what I do remember is all the stuff around it.
See, you were opposite.
I was opposite. Candace was focused on the games, and I remember the Tampa Final Four. All the teams came in on yachts. They had us all come in on boats, and then each team I think had a boat, and we came off the water in the boats after sailing, and we came off a red carpet, and then went in to party.
Yes. They used to do that. I don't know if they still do the dinner.
They don't.
Where they bring all the four teams together and have a night, have a dinner. That was fire. Because I was on the red carpet for a few of those.
Oh, really?
Yes. And that was a nice time.
We both came from the court. And when Uconn was given their trophy, they brought all of their alum on.
Yes,
and all of their former champions. And it was kind of cool to see the level of greatness. We're talking about Hall of Famers, Olympians.
Yes.
But also people, across generations, people that you went through or they went through you. And one of the coolest things happened to me. Maya Moore walks by and she's like, Ros. And I'm like, Maya. And I was like, dang, one of those championships you got went through us. And she was like, you also stopped us from one.
Uh-oh.
And so I was like, these competitors, they don't forget anything.
Nothing.
They don't forget anything. I also got a picture with Diana Taurasi.
Did you?
Yes. So I did. We've interviewed everybody. Mm-hmm. Diana's the only player, men's or women's, that makes me a little nervous. Oh, Kobe Bryant too.
Yeah.
And I'm always a little bit goofy.
You know what? No, Diana's so different off the court than she is on. I know. Yeah. I mean, I've interviewed her a few times and I'm always just blown away by how nice she is. She's like, thanks, LaChina, I appreciate you. And I'm like, Is this the same monster that shows up on the court and is like, acting a fool? But yeah, she's actually really sweet off the court.
So, I mean, hey, we have a new champion. The NCAA season is crowned, and UConn wins the championship, the 12th overall, for the program. What do you make of the championship game? What did you think?
Man, well, I honestly wish it was more competitive.
Yeah.
The fact that it was a 30-point game at the end, I just did not necessarily see that coming. But I did feel like UConn was playing very well coming in. So I'm not surprised at all that they won, even though I'm always going to stay true to my bracket. I did pick South Carolina to win. But what I was thinking, you mentioned all the UConn alum, and I ran into Asia Jones and Tamika Raymond Williams, Jetter. Don't kill me, Tamika Williams. And I was just thinking about like how dominant they were and the level of excellence they played with on the court. And I think Tamika Williams shot like 70% from the like they never missed a layup. Swing Cash is not here, but obviously she was on that team, Sinberg. And I haven't seen that version of Connecticut, not even the 2016 Stewie last championship, like their last championship. I haven't seen that level of excellence from Connecticut since then. Mm-hmm. And there have been a lot of questions, including myself. Could they get back there, right? Like everyone's like, oh, Geno's been doing this a long time. I don't know. Connecticut's regime may have gone, even though they were still getting to the Final Fours, the championship is still the standard. But the way this team played reminded me of a lot of those old teams where they were winning 3 in a row and, just winning championships every other year from the early 2000s, really through 2010 or 2016 when Stewie was done. But yeah, so it was very interesting. Yeah. And to see that level of excellence with the UConn Huskies team again.
Yeah. There was a lot of dominance. And I too feel like it was reminiscent of the way those other teams in the past was dominant. Yeah. I'll point out though, like, this UConn team has been right here, though.
Yeah,
like, they've been right there.
Final Fours, yeah.
And clearly 24 Final Fours, and this is their back-to-back one. But last season's team, they, Geno had that squad with like a handful of healthy players scrap their way to the Final Four. I think health has played a big part in like their lack of a championship as of late. And what I saw in this team, for me, they're healthy. For me, with UConn, it's always a fitness issue. It's a condition. Like they wear on you.
Yeah.
Like against UCLA in the first game of the Final Four, I felt like UCLA looked a little fatigued.
Yes.
And UConn just kept coming at them. And then even here, they just kept coming in waves. The high level of execution on offense, all the back cuts against the pressure, all the back doors. And on defense, I thought they were good too.
Yeah, I mean, the precision timing on the cuts, the screens. I thought the screening action in particular was tough for South Carolina early, like whether they were going to switch or try to chase. Like they were very good with the timing of their screen so that they got a lot of mismatches and were able to take advantage of that. But yeah, their defense was really good too. And in the first half in particular, I thought where their defense stood out to me was in the paint. South Carolina had some opportunities right around the rim that I thought could have helped them momentum-wise in the first half, and they were missing shots with 2 feet in the paint. And you got to give a lot of credit to Sarah Strong because I often have to recheck her height. I think she's 6'2".
Yeah.
And she was battling it out. While Dawn has a full rotation of posts she can put in the game who are obviously tough, scrappy, can get on the glass. Joyce Edwards included coming off of the bench, Ta'Niya Fagan starting, Chloe. But she was contesting a lot of shots in the paint and taking away those easy buckets for South Carolina in the first half, I thought was key. So to your point, UConn's defense was also just very effective.
Okay, I want to hear your thoughts on this because UConn had an incredible game from Azzi Fudd, who was great in Tampa. And I also think Paige, while she didn't shoot great, was highly impactful. Sarah, between the points, I think 24 points, I think 15 rebounds, between the blocks and the defense. She anchored everything that thwarted South Carolina. I think there were a number of candidates, but for me, Sarah Strong was the most outstanding player for me of the Final Four.
Someone else said that to me because the game ended and...
Don't forget she had 22 points in the game before. I think she had a high-scoring game in the game before.
Yeah, and as did Azzi.
Yes.
And when the game ended, someone who I was sitting with was like, oh, Sarah Strong's the most outstanding player. And I was like, really? I thought it was Azzi Fudd. Really? And I think it could have gone either way.
Either way.
First of all, a freshman performing at such a high level... I mean, the poise, the toughness, I am blown away by her.
Yeah.
Period, point blank. But what I think it was with AZ, and Ros, you've had injuries as a player, so you get this part of it. She started to trust her body on defense. And we can look at points all day long, which she's a sharpshooter. She can score. She's starting to get that timing in with her shot. But she was taking risks on defense. She was lunging. She was in the passing lanes. She was picking players.
Yeah.
Like, she was trusting her body to really move in a way on defense that gave that team a lot of momentum. And those were the things that maybe most people saw. I know I saw in voting her, the most outstanding player. But honestly, I thought it could have gone either way.
What a luxury for UConn, right?
I know.
All these players stepped up so big. And it's funny because, I interviewed post-game Sarah Strong, and she barely smiled. Like, she's just got a...
She's locked in.
She's locked in.
Yeah.
Did she take out the Allison a little bit? Like, Feaster, her mom?
Does.
Her mom is a little bit on, like, a little more serious. When you know her, you keep in with her.
But
right.
She, on the surface, she gonna give you the straight.
Right.
Yeah.
And I see her mother in her, like, stoicness. I wonder if she's, like, silly on the side or something.
Right, yeah, like behind the scenes.
But, so that was something that stood out to me.
And shout out to Allison, who's was one of my childhood heroes.
Yes.
Like, I wanted to go to Harvard because of her. And the fact that, like, we text now during games and stuff, like, I'm like, I can't even believe that I get to correspond with Allison Feaster. Like, y'all need to get on Google if you don't know who this woman is. Like,
The historic
it's in the
16
genes.
seed beating a 1 seed
Yes.
in the tournament. Harvard beat Stanford. Why is Stanford
Sorry,
always on the bad
Ron,
end of
this
these
is a
stories?
bad episode
Why?
for Stanford.
This is not a good episode for Stanford. Hey, we got a lot of greatness coming through there too. But and then to another point you had, I interviewed Geno post game and after the championship, and I asked him what this 12th championship meant, and the fact that it took 9 years to get there, what it meant to the program and to the team and to him.
Mhm.
And he basically alluded to, he heard all that talk.
Oh,
Geno's he got strong, like he believes in the program and the work he's put in.
yeah.
And so he heard that, and he said, look, if we want parity in the game, we can't be upset when it's hard to get here. And so that was not only was it that he heard it was respect for the parity.
And that's a great point, Ros, because I do agree with you that it's been injuries that have been in the way of UConn somewhat, but it's also that everyone else in the country has gotten better, right?
Okay.
Like, there's more parity, there are more teams competing. UConn wasn't just getting every All-American out of high school like they used to at some point. And so I think you do have to consider that.
But I actually think that's a great point, because as we do all this legacy talk, how many championships does this player have? And Paige Bueckers is now going to have 1. Where does she stand with the greats of UConn who have 4 or 3 or 2? I think it's hard to have that conversation, because I remember playing in the years of 2010, where our first challenge wasn't until the Final Four, where teams were going undefeated through the season and winning by 30. You know what I mean? So it's like, how can you come? It's just everything. Both are excellent,
Yeah.
but there's so much more parity now that to get that 1 chip is so much harder. I think.
I agree. And the game has grown even in terms of the styles of play we see, right?
Yeah.
And this is nothing against the teams of old, because we wouldn't be here without the foundation that the teams have had success way back to the AIAW days and the La Tech days and the Western Kentucky, all those teams that you don't hear much about that have been a part of the growth of college women's basketball over time. But yes, Dallas, the game just seems like there's closer contests, there's more parity, there's more talent going to different places. There's, to me, more variety and style of play. We've got YouTube and technology that's grown in terms of how these players are training and how they're preparing their bodies and minds for college.
Yeah.
And so you love to see it.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right. It makes it much harder now to have that kind of dominance. Tennessee, obviously, that goes without saying.
So how do we reflect on the full body of work now for our girl Paige Bueckers, who has her storybook, ending with the championship after all the injuries? Not only injuries, she went through a pandemic, like her team was injured, and to come through with her resilience and heart.
There's just not enough positive words to say about Paige as a player or as a person. We have just watched her blossom, her game on the court, through the resilience of the injuries, through the perseverance. We've watched her become a spokeswoman and a face of the game of college women's basketball. But I think what I learned in this year particular, really this stretch of games in the NCAA tournament and in the postseason, is that Paige has the ability to rise to the occasion. There were questions about whether or not she was WNBA ready because she doesn't shoot enough and she's a pass first and does she take over enough? Like all those conversations that we have about great players. And I don't know that people were giving her the grace which she was working back from with injury, but she showed us that she can shoot that thing. Like she can score the ball and under duress, in crunch times, in big games. So I just love that she took center stage, and the story couldn't have ended more perfectly for her journey with all that she's been through than to have a national championship.
Yeah. And I'm going to remember her not only as a great player, but the more I found out about Paige, the more I understand how wonderful of a human being and a teammate she is.
Yes.
And also her heart and resilience beyond the points and the buckets. Like that's what stands out to me about Paige Bueckers. And, you know, it's a nice transition too, because that's what stands out to me about you, LaChina.
Like me and Paige have nothing in common. I can't shoot. Okay. So I don't know where Ros is going right now.
No. I'm talking about the quality of character, of heart, of being a great teammate, of helping bring others along. And I mean, you even being here is a symbol of like your love for me. You're my big sis, but everybody's big sis. And we all could sit and rave about you. You're also my friend.
Yes.
And you know, I want to just highlight the incredible work you're doing with Rising Media Stars. The mentorship organization that you founded that now has literally put stars in seats on the biggest networks. It's for, you know, young journalists who want to become broadcasters. Why was it important for you to have a life of mentorship and have this be your passion?
Well, first of all, thank you so much. I appreciate all those kind words. But, you know, I said I've been to 23 straight Final Fours. And what I can say is the journey was lonely in those early years because I didn't see a lot of people that looked like me in the room. Even Geno commented in his presser, and he was like, I don't know that I've ever seen this many women in the room at a Final Four. And he's obviously been at a lot of them. And so it really came from a passion for wanting more diversity in the coverage of women's basketball. But also, I know how amazing it has felt to live my dream of covering the sport. And I want to help more people reach their dreams. And it's kind of the way I've always been wired. I am a natural encourager. I just am really always pretty much optimistic and like to help people when they need help. And so, you know, starting this program, which is a nonprofit, we just wanted to really target our attention in a small group of women that we can help to elevate and transition into sport broadcasting because it can be lonely, right? And no one gives you the playbook, and all of our paths are different in terms of how we got here. But if I could even just do a little bit to add to the diversity of the coverage of women's basketball so that the media looks more like the players on the court, right? That's what we want to see over time. And that's what I wanted to do. So it's really been an honor for me and a blessing to be a part of the journey of all of the women you named and so much more.
Yes.
And yeah, just trying to pay it forward.
Yeah. And I mean, you've connected me with a number of broadcasters and, you know, hey, I need you to meet this young lady who's with the Bucks and Zora Stevenson. Like she's doing the Olympics now.
Yes.
You know, and there's been a few of those, but for me, you've been a sis, a mentor, a friend for me. And, you know, I guess I'll kind of get you out on this one. You know, I come to you, I have so few people to actually talk about when things are down. I have so many people in my life and my family that are depending on me, and it's hard to share openly without worrying them. So when I've ever had an insecurity or a disappointment, oftentimes you've been there for the conversation. And part of being a broadcaster is it's almost like ball. Like there's rosters, you can get cut, you're fighting for playing time. This business is hard. Like, how do you keep your sanity in a business where there's, even as high as you get, there's so much that's still not guaranteed?
100. No, Ros, you're right. This business is very subjective. And you and I both, probably me more than you, have heard so many no's, and I've heard a lot of reasons why I don't fit in this world, right? I'm always reminded of all the things I'm not, and very rarely was I ever praised for what I was. And so I think it really comes from an inner resilience for sure. For me, it's also my faith in God and knowing that no decision that anyone could ever make is going to take me off of my destiny. If a door closes, it was meant to close, right? If a door opens, it was meant to open. Like, people to me are just kind of the conduits of whatever it is that God really wants to do in my life. And so when you take that personal out of it, you realize that your journey is already predestined and all you can control is your work ethic. You can work harder than everyone. You can be knowledgeable. And for you and I, when we step into that seat, especially as Black women, we know we have to be excellent to open the door for the next Black woman coming after us or the next woman coming after us. So I carry that burden, if you will, with great pride, as do you have, of showing up and being great. And I take on the challenge. And because we love women's basketball so much, it's easy. Like, this is a dream. This is literally a dream for me. I've always wanted to do this, like to cover women's basketball at the highest levels. And I have at this point. So I am very happy with my career and glad that I can help others find their dream and to, ascend to the places that they dream of being in this business.
I think you walk the walk and you talk the talk. I thank you for how you show up, and I just appreciate you so much. Yes, you're an example I give often, that you can be successful in this business, be talented, but you can be a great person, and that will take you far. So, LaChina, thank you so much for joining
you,
me.
and I will always be here for you.
I know,
always.
I believe you. I'm
know
here
that.
for you
I'm
too.
a phone call away.
I'm here for you too.
This is my girl, like my real sister.
I know. I love you.
I love you too. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming.
Welcome back to Good Follow, presented by DraftKings. I'm Ros, she's Logan, and thank you so much to LaChina Robinson again for joining our show, ESPN analyst, but beyond that, incredible friend and mentor to so many. It was really great to catch up and kiki with her and all the things. But okay, y'all, the WNBA draft is here. So Logan and I are revealing our top 5 draft picks. Logan, let's see who we both have in the number 1 spot.
Let's do it. Oh
No!
my goodness, shocker.
Shocker!
Wow.
It's Paige Bueckers.
Well, y'all, absolutely no surprise here. Paige is in number 1 going to Dallas, and they made a lot of improvements in the offseason, bringing in Dejanay Carrington and Alyssa Smith, Ty Harris, and they're joining Ariko Gombawale. So Paige is coming into this team that also went 9-31 last year, finishing 11th in the league. So what do you think she can contribute to make them a contender this year?
Yeah, Paige Bueckers is an efficient scorer from all ranges, from 3, and especially with her mid-range pull-up jump shot. She's going to provide spacing, anytime she's on the court. I also think she's going to eat off of the spacing that's provided by the gravity that's going to come to Arike Ogunbowale. Like that penetrate kick out is going to be crazy. And they could be a nice 1-2 punch offensively together. Another thing that I'll point out, Paige is a great teammate. We saw the stories that came out about her waking up early to cook, breakfast for her teammate Geno Alafi coming out of Ramadan. She's a great human. And I just think her personality, even her ease of nature, her silliness, I think that'll be really healthy for the team in Dallas that's going through a lot of transition right now. And sometimes you need that kind of personality. And Logan, here's the most important thing. Well, I'm just joking, but I'm so ready for the pregame walk-in for Dallas, because between Paige, Arike, and Dejanay, and then the rest of the team, that's going to be a very swaggy team. That walk-in's going to be crazy.
Real quick, who do you see playing the 1 and who do you see playing the 2?
I think you can, transition that. Whoever gets the ball can bring it up, because everybody can play with pace, everybody can share it, and everybody's a bucket.
Love that. Next up, let's move to number 2. I have Dominique Malonga, and you have Kiki Iriafen. Personally, I chose Dominique because I think she really fits well with the Seattle team, given that she played with Gabby Williams. But 6'6", she's fast, versatile. You can't really teach the athleticism that she has. And the president of her team at Lyon, which mind you, she's 19 years old, averaging a double-double there. But he said that she is the female Wemby, and I think Seattle just needs to grab her when they can.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have her at number 2. She easily could, right? But I actually went with Kiki because, Seattle already has Nneka Ogwumike and Ezi Magbagor, but I think that Kiki's versatility could help her fill in spots and gaps and spurts here. She's got great defensive potential. She's got, mobility. She's able to shoot the ball, in little short ranges and stuff. And I think that'll complement those established stars. I thought she finished her season at USC better than she started it. And I actually remember the Kiki of the breakout year at Stanford University, and that's where I really saw some of her potential. So I think there's more here, upside for Kiki, and perhaps she gets picked up at number 2.
Let's move to the number 3. Our 2 and 3 are actually flipped for us, and I have the exact same reasons, except Washington just needs anyone they can get at that point. So if Dominique goes second, then Kiki goes in third. But looking at the bigs on Washington, I think it would be good for them to cycle through all of them. I mean, as I just said, they need anyone who they can get.
Yeah, no, Washington has a lot of new from the executive staff to the team and down. So, I think at number 3 here with Dominique Malunga, who could easily go number 2, as we said, this is a 6'6" prospect who can dunk, who defensively, because of her length, automatically has an opportunity to rim protect. She can stretch the court. She will shoot the 3. And I potentially like her as someone who could perhaps move a healthy Shakira Austin out in space and let Shakira Austin showcase all of her versatility, all her wiggle, all the things she showed during the unrivaled season that she could do. And again, Shakira Austin healthy is a problem. So with Washington rebuilding and having a new personality, perhaps just extreme size could be a big part of their identity.
And then for our 4 and 5s, we actually have the exact same picks. Sonia Citron going to Washington, and then Anissa Morrow going to Golden State. And I honestly, who do I start with? Sonia. Notre Dame is notorious for building WNBA ready guards. And other than Paige, I think she's the highest level that Washington could really use. And then as for Golden State, I'm not too sure if you saw the quote from Natalie Nakase, who says that she's looking for a certain type of player on her team. Ultra competitive, high character, never satisfied, aka a dog, and that's what Anissa Morrow is. So I think she'd be a great fit there.
Yeah, you nailed that with Anissa Morrow potentially being picked up by the Valkyries at number 5. She's a double-double machine. She's undersized, but she is a worker, right? So I think what you heard from Natalie Nakase is like this first season for the Valkyries is going to be about developing culture. And I think to your point, Logan, Morrow fits that. A culture of being hard workers, a culture of being a hustler. And don't forget, she also can stretch the court. So that's always very useful. Coming back up, though, moving back up to 4 with Washington, I think they might use this to get a big and then to get a wing, right? And Sonia Citron has all the things that modern basketball loves. She's 6'1", she's got good size. She shoots 37% from 3. So she's a shooter. She can stretch the court. And she's developed into one of the best defenders in college basketball. So size, 3, and D, those are the, ingredients for the recipe for a nice role player in the WNBA.
She has it all.
Okay, Logan, so we can't get to everyone, but let's talk about some other players to watch for in this draft. Who you got?
Yeah, well, my top 3 are Serena Sundell, Caitlin Chen, and Sarah Ashley Barker. Starting with Serena, just in the tournament, she looks WNBA ready, and she's 6'2", could play positions 1 through 4, which is a huge key component for a team to pick up. And she led the league in assists this year as well, with averaging 7.3, I believe. And then we have Caitlin Chen, who I think is going to be the Kate Martin of this year's draft, and Sarah Ashley Barker, who is an absolute dog, a go-getter, and I honestly think she'd fit the Golden State blueprint really well.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to point out a household name in Haley Van Lith. I think she might surprise us in that she might get drafted higher than some of these mock draft boards have for her. Because of just how well she finished the March Madness and NCAA tournament. I think she was able to establish herself as a winner, as a bucket, highly skilled. I think she increased her draft stock. And I think the upside and potential of that may, for some, draft boardrooms, outweigh the fact that, like, hey, against Texas, she did look small. She had a hard time seeing over their defense. the upside might outweigh that. And I also think, hey, it doesn't hurt her marketability and, putting someone in that households know and may put butts in seats. So I think for Hailey Van Lith, we may see her get drafted higher than some people have predicted.
I completely agree. I think it was like round 2 on some drafts. I was like, no, not happening. But y'all, coming up, I make my DK game pick of the week, and we have some quick hits for you. So we'll be right back. Welcome back to Good Follow. This segment is presented by DraftKings. This weekend, I've got my eyes on the NWSL showdown between the San Diego Wave and the Kansas City Current. 2 players to watch are Delphine Cascarino for the Wave and Temwa Chwinga for the Current. Cascarino brings world-class experience, creativity, and an unmatched ability to unlock defenses. She's already shifting the rhythm in San Diego's attack and is proving to be a playmaker, currently leading the league in assists. On the other side, Chwinga's electric. She's fast, fearless, and finds the back of the net with ease, already tallying 3 goals in 3 games for the Current. Did I mention she's also the reigning NWSL MVP and Golden Boot winner? San Diego, known for its organized backline and explosive counterattack, will be looking to bounce back strong at home. But the KC Current is one of the league's most dynamic attacking teams, and they're coming in hot off a win, so I expect them to come out and hand the Wave the L. This matchup is filled with talent and is going to be a good one, so grab your popcorn and enjoy the show. This segment is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Okay, starting out, we had some stars inducted to the Hall of Fame class. We have Sue Bird, Maya Moore, and Sylvia Fowles. We absolutely love to see it. And actually, speaking of stars, Unrivaled made $27 million in revenue, even after spending like $7 million or more on player salaries. So they're raking it in, and I want to see that number double for next year. Do you think it can happen?
I think, listen, they can continue to write the standard and create it, and I'm really excited for season 2 for them.
Next up, we have Hailey Van Lith featured on Sports Illustrated swimsuit. Oh my gosh, she looks so good. I remember Angels from last year, and she absolutely killed it. But HBL, what an amazing player to get.
One that stands out to me, I remember when Skylar Diggins-Smith did this issue. I think she had a great finish to the March Madness and the tournament. And here she is, having an opportunity to capitalize on that and continue to storytell and brand build.
Yeah, and speaking of story, Juju Watkins' story has been up and down at this point, but it ended on a high, winning the Wooden Award and the Player of the Year honors. And lastly, we have their besties living their best life with Azzi and Paige both winning a title together. The Bird and Tarasi show was live at the championship. And then we had Asia Wilson and Alicia Gray doing what besties were there to do.
Besties were shining. And I can't get enough of this clip, like this meme. The 2 of them are having a healthy kiki. Like anyone that has a homegirl, like that you really rock with, when you gotta like stomp your feet and shake. That is such, that's a very relatable laugh. I wonder what they're talking about, but it's like both of y'all are having a moment where you're like, girl.
It's such like a serotonin moment too. Like the feeling you get after, you're like, oh my gosh, yay, I love her so much.
Yeah, they're so cute. And I love the way they show up for one another and just support one another at each other's events and milestones. And also, congratulations to Alicia. Alicia just secured a ring. She's just got engaged, so we're really happy for her. That's it for this week's episode of Good Follow Show. We want to make sure to thank LaChina Robinson, my good sis, for coming on and joining us on the show today. And of course, to all of you, all 1,000 plus, let's go. Go us, go us. Thank you for rocking out, watching it with us. Continue to subscribe, tell your friends. Check out our socials, comment, like, all the things. We do this every Wednesday. We drop at 7 p.m. Eastern on DraftKings networks, on YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. So this show, we're presented by DraftKings. Logan, any final words?
Love you.
We love you. See you next week.
Bye, guys.